Chris Moody here. So I'm really excited to do this video. This is part 2 in the series of how to build a list of stocks that move based on the number of occurrences, etc. And if you came across this post and you're watching this video, you want to make sure that you've seen the first post, and then this will make a lot more sense, that I did, titled CM, the best method I found for finding stocks that move. And based on all the comments in here and the request, this video is on how to build the actual scanner. So right below this video under related ideas will be a link to here, and make sure you've watched this video first. Last thing I'll say before we jump into building the scanner is in that link below the video, I gave out a watch list of the top point movers, percent movers, that have had at least 24 occurrences over the last 40 trading days. And I just posted a link to the same list that's a week more updated, if that's the correct way to say it, but based and separated on sectors. So that's in that first post. But today we're going to jump in to how to build this scanner. And so what I've done is I have a test account, and we're going to go in and build this scanner from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do is on your main page, go to products, screeners, stocks. And in this test account, I haven't built any custom scanners. So this is probably how yours looks if you haven't built any custom scanners. And what I'm going to do is go in, I'm going to copy the title. I'm on a different screen. And then we're going to go to this drop down right here and create a new screen. I'm going to paste in what I name this, the top point percent gainers, and hit create. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you all the custom settings and how I build the scanner. Once you've done this, you'll have it forever. It's a little tedious, but TradingView makes it as easy as they possibly can. So we're going to go in and do this, and then after I built the scanner, I'll go over the settings that are in there and give you kind of like a background of why I use those settings, and show you how to customize them if you want to change those settings at all. And then the last thing that I'll mention is several people in the comments mentioned, how do you build what settings would you use for the scanner if you're in a different market, like the Indian market and the Australian market. And I'll talk about that at the end. I've helped several clients do that, so it's no problem at all. All right, the first thing we're going to do is go in here, and under the market, I'm using the US stock exchange, and I do have this turned on for primary listings only. Okay, so that's the first thing. And anytime you make a change in here, I just go ahead and save it. Then under watch list, I left this on here. I'm not using that. Under index, I'm looking at a different screen here. I'm going to remove this just because I want to make this as clean as possible for only the items that I'm using. Again, add in, after I show you the thought process, add in any of these that you want to sort by. Under price, I go to manual setup, and I'm looking at a different screen here, and let me see how I set this up. Yes, hit the drop down here and go to between, and then I have it set from 10 to 9.99 as far as the price. Okay, I'll discuss that later, and I'm going to hit apply. All right, so you see we went from a lot of symbols down to a little bit fewer right there. Then under the change percent, let's see, let me go. So for change percent, I'm going to go to manual setup in 1 day, and then I have between 4 to 15% and click apply. All right, market cap, I've removed that. PE removed. EPS remove. Dividend yield remove. Let's see, recent earning dates remove. 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 And then I'm going to hit plus here, and I'm going to type in volume, and I want the average volume. Setting 10 days there. I'm going to add the filter. Then I'm going to go in and manually set up. And under here, we have 10 days, and I want above value, and I have in here 500,000. So I'm going to apply, and I'll discuss that later. And then let's see if we can drag these in here. All right, to get these in the order that I have, I'm going to hit remove on sector, and I'm going to add that back in later. So we've got an average volume, an average 10-day volume of 500,000. And again, I'll discuss that later. And then I'm going to type in symbol and select symbol type. And under the symbol type, I'm going to take all three of these, and then I want to add in, I'm going to type in change, and in here, sorry, I'm on the other screen. Let me go to, I want change from open, add filter, manual setup, 1 day above value, and I want it to move at least 1 point. And I'm going to apply that. And then I'm not using these, but if you want to sort by the sector in the industry, you can add sector, and then I'm going to hit the plus. And if you want to sort by industry, you can add industry. Now, what I do is I export this Excel into an Excel file, and I sort by the sector in the industry within that Excel file. Okay, but if you want to sort by those in here, you can. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is update the columns in here, because when we go in, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. When we go in at the end of the day and export this file out, whatever columns you have up here will be in the exported file. All right, so I'm going to go in here, and let me clear off this other screen. and I keep the price, the change percent, the volume. All right, so now I want to add in I'm going to type in volume, and I want the average volume, 10 days, add column. And then what I'm going to do is drag this column. TradingView makes this really easy to do. Drag this over, and I want it by the volume. And then I'm going to set up the column 10 days so I can see my average 10-day volume in there. All right. If you right click on these, I'm going to delete a few of these out that I'm not using. So remove. And again, you can re-add any of these back in that you want. Remove. Remove. All right. A few of these I want, so all the rest I want, and then I want to add in a few more. All right. So the next thing that I have in here is the change from open, add column. And in here, to make it match the one that I have let me try one more thing in here. I just want price change. Sorry about that. Add column. Yeah, so that's just change. Then I'm going to remove this. Change percent, volume, average volume. And then I want in here performance percent. And I want a year to date and I have this right by the average volume. Then I want performance percent. I have a 3-month in here. Performance percent 6-month. Then I have the sector, industry, then I have the exchange, and then I have the high, and for the high, I have 52-week. Then I put in the low for the 52-week. And then I put in the high again, and I have all time. And last one is the low, and I have all time. Okay, now the reason I have all these in here is, and again, I'm on a 1920 by 1080 screen. You can see all these columns if you have a 4K screen or anything bigger than 1920 by 1080. But I have all these columns in here, so when I export this out, so I'm going to save this, and notice down here, now that you've updated these columns, you have a custom in here for these columns, so you didn't others that TradingView gives you by default. But when I export out the Excel file, it gives me additional things that I can scan for, sort the Excel file from, etc. Okay, but this is how I've designed mine, so you'll have the exact same thing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this, and I'm going to call this the CM top 0.% losers. And I'm going to save it. The only difference in here, and let me switch my other screen to the top 0.% losers, is for
still on the best strategy that I found for finding stock that move. First of all, what you need to know is that, okay, this is nosy again, P1 2 3 as usual. Okay, so I'm still on the best strategy that I have found for finding stock that move. So I'll begin. First of all, this strategy that I've found, this strategy is very, 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 like you have to sit down, settle down to learn this strategy. It's very hard to learn. Okay, so this is an 100, this is an 100, and this is 80, this is 60, and this is 55, this is 22, 10, and minus 40, and this is 1. Let's assume this is 1, and this is 2, 3, 4. Then we have 10, 20, 30, and 40. Now this is our overall stock, minus 0, minus 0, 1, seco 1 plus 9. This is 3 in my finger, this is 1 in my finger, then I have 2 on my other finger, and I have 4 on my other finger. I will show how to use this strategy. Very easy, and all your trade will be accurate if you use this strategy. My TV and my 1. This strat is very hard, so I'll be posting it on my Discord channel. Please join my Discord channel. I'm going to see Victoria.
losers. Okay. Now, let me talk a little bit about the settings in here. And so let's just go to the gainers because it's going to be the same thing for the losers. All right. I have between 10 and 990 video. This is part 2 in the series. Losers. And I'm going to save it. The only difference in here, and let me switch my other screen to the top 20% losers, is for the change percent.
So I'm going to show how to use this bollingar swing now right now. To use the bollingar swing is like this. This is 1, this is 3, this is 2, this is 4, and this is 2. So one is going down to 3, 3 is going down to 4, 4 is going down to 2, and 2 is going back up 1, which is something like this. Wait. 1, 2, like this. This is 20, 30, 40, and so on and so forth. I've talked about this one before. So all you need to do is master this hand before you can get here. And this is 80 and this is 100. This is a breakout and this is a fake art. Okay, let me pause on.
To the top 0.% losers is for the change percent. I'm gonna do a manual setup and we're gonna put -4 to -15, apply. And it's not giving us any symbols now because we need to update one other one. And I'm going to
might have to adjust that.
Verify this
You're going to have to play around with that depending on what markets you're in.
Yep,
because
below
you
value
want the liquidity where you can get in and out of the symbol.
Just one thing
right?
here.
Because in a lot of those markets, there's going to be symbols that trade that move well, but there's just not the liquidity to get in and out of them, and that changes from market to market, from country to country. All right. So the two main ones that you're going to need to adjust.
This one,
based on
I had to figure this
if
one out.
you're in the Indian market, if you're in the Australian market, etc., and this is going to be true for any market out there, is you might have to adjust the price.
Apply.
And you're probably definitely going to have to adjust.
So now we're going to save this.
Any questions, leave a comment below.
And we can
Hope
switch back and forth.
Guys, my dad just crowned me the guru of forest.
You've got that done.
Like, I'm the guru of forest right now. I'm the guru of forest right now. Like, I'm the guru of forest. I'm -1 minus. Wow. Like, I'm so happy. Like, first of all, let me wish you all a Merry Christmas. My dad has crowned me the guru of forest because apparently I am the only one on earth that can use without my charts. I'm the only one on earth that without my charts. I'm the only one on earth that without my charts, without looking at my forest and charts, I can analyze what all the market is doing. Just with my numbers. Me and my dad, we found this bollingar swing.
Now, a lot of you might want to
There's a lot of process, and I still have Queen Victoria's story to talk about. Queen Victoria's story is part of the introduction into Oxy USD. I also want to do an introduction into Oxy USD, and also introduction to GBP USD, and also introduction to BTC. But I think it's too much. Do I have to do that? I'll try to do that once I'm free. Right now, I still have to get
and therefore I'm looking
my mom
$10 or more.
a Christmas
the 4
gift.
to 15%.
Okay,
What I found
I'm good
is
of
on
forest.
average, I'm finding
I'm good of
stocks that are
forest. That's the
moving
most important
when
aspect
you
right
take the
now. I'm
top
good of forest. Thank
occurrences
you.
out there that are moving 5% or higher. The reason that I have the 15% in there is I wanted to filter out initially stocks that were just making big gaps for the like a 1 day gap. But when you do, and I've just had that from the start, and it works. But you could take that out because the stocks that are gapping, when you do the number of occurrences that these that each stock has been a top point mover, top point loser over the last, for example, 40 trading days that I'm using, it's going to filter out those 1 day gaps anyways. So that's up to you. But this is the initial list I did many, many years ago, and it's giving me plenty of symbols. It's working well for me. So I just haven't changed it. But that's my thought process behind there. Okay. The average 10-day volume of 500,000. Um, the reason I'm not looking at the day, what the volume is for the day. I keep that in here because there are trading methodologies that want to see like high volume coming in per day, but what I'm looking for is liquidity in these symbols. Okay. So I've always kept it at the where the average 10-day volume is greater than 500,000, and that's worked well for me. Um, I am aware of that because once you get to the point that you're trading $1 million account or more, then you might want to up that to a million. All right. But until you're at that point, that's provided plenty of liquidity where I've never noticed any issues with getting in and out of symbols. All right. The symbol type in the you the only you could take out depository receipts, but I've never run into any issues with those. Um, and the change of greater than $1. So the question will come in a lot. Well, Chris, if you're changing from if you're evaluating the percent, why would you have greater than $1? All right. You can easily take that out, especially if you're looking at stocks that are less than $10. What I've found is, and this is just something that I learned over 20 years ago from my original mentor, and I found it to be true. If you're trading options and you're trading like directional options, so for example, you're buying calls and or buying puts, a lot of people want think that the percent that it moves. So on a $10 stock, if it's moving 4%, so it's going from 10 to $10.40. I've just found that when stocks are moving at least a point, that the options move significantly better. Okay, so the majority of symbols that I'm trading are at that $20 price point and higher. You will surprisingly, even putting in this setting of moving at least 1 point or $1, uh, you it gives you a surprising number of symbols that are trading at like 10, 11, 12, $13, right? So just the list that I've given you guys that are in that first post, one of them there's like 70 some odd symbols, one of them there's like close to 100 symbols in there, and that's using these settings. So it's just I've had plenty of symbols to go through and trade that are actively moving, and then the ones that are even lower price, in the $10 to $15 area, because of this setting, um, are moving exceptionally well. All right, but I've never taken it out. I've had plenty of symbols to trade, so I don't want to make this video too long, but that's my thought process behind it. If you have any questions, let me know. The last thing I'll cover, that if you're in a different market, like you live in India, so you're only allowed to trade the Indian exchange, and or if you're in Australia and you're trading that exchange, or anywhere else in the world, whatever exchange you're trading, all you have to do is play around with the settings in here a little bit. The change percent, I don't think you'll have any issue with. The two that you'll have to adjust is the price point, because in some countries, some of their exchanges, you'll find they have a lot of lower price stocks. All right, that's not true everywhere across the board, but for some of our clients in India and Australia, especially, we've had to adjust that. All right, so just play around with that depending on what market you're in. The next one that you'll have to change, and I know this is 100% true in the Australian market, is the average volume. There, many of the stocks in Australia trade a lot thinner. There's not the same liquidity that there is here in the U.S. market. All right, so you might have to adjust that. You're going to have to play around with that depending on what markets you're in, because you want the liquidity where you can get in and out of the symbol, right? Because in a lot of those markets, there's going to be symbols that trade that move well, but there's just not the liquidity to get in and out of them, and that changes from market to market, from country to country. All right, so the two main ones that you're going to need to adjust based on if you're in the India market, if you're in the Australia market, etc., and this is going to be true for any market out there, is you might have to adjust the price, and you're probably definitely going to have to adjust the volume. All right. Any questions, leave a comment below. Hope this video helps. A little tedious, but then after you've got that done, you have these, and again, we export these files at the end of the day because TradingView updates these live during the day. So anyways, hope that helps. Leave a comment below if you like the video. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. Really appreciate your guys' time. Hope this helps. And again, you definitely want to watch the video on this post that'll be right underneath this recording under related ideas. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Bye.
I've talked about this one before. So all you need to do is master this hand before you can get here. And this is 80 and this is 100. This is a breakout and this is a fake art. Okay, let me pause some.